Welcome back to Let's Talk Race and Mind, where we make truth a big deal. I'm your host, Harrison Paul, and today we're going to talk about Roda Osman, a sister from the United States who's going through a very complicated situation right now. And we're going to discuss how this is a great example of othering and our current civil war between black men and black women. So if you look up on the screen, we have the headline, "Woman attacked by a man with a brick is reportedly being charged for a felony theft by deception." Now, let me make this very point clear. This is just a disclaimer. And I'll get into that some other day. But Shade Borough is the most anti-black page ever. They have plagiarized the meaning of what Shade Room was about. And they brought in names from due to the fact that people in the UK and Ireland or anybody in Europe felt as though, oh, wow, this is going to be our version of Shade Room. Shade Room was specifically made to uplift black culture, and so it did. Of course, we can all dispute, what they upload and what type of celebrities that they feel may bring us a good look or a bad look, but that's not my concern. If anybody with any sort of wisdom will see that Shade Room did have the purest intent to uplift all sides of our culture, and give us a space like BET, and an extension of BET for today's realm. That's what Shade Room was for. But Shade Borough has become this page where I just am so sure it's run by white people, and British white people at that, because we all know how they are. But let me get into this, all right? Woman attacked by a man with a brick is reportedly being charged for a felony theft by deception. I have a problem with this situation. What's my problem with the situation? When this situation first came out, of course, black women took their time to go online and be upset about, black man, you see, this is what you do to us. You don't protect us, whatever. And if I can get the video, I'm pretty sure it's in the swipe. I'm not sure if it's in the swipe. But basically, I'm going to put up on the screen here.
Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give a Yeah, this man hit me, grabbed a rock, and it hit me in my face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just watch.
So what happened online was, this woman began to be, black women felt the pain of this woman, that we're not protected, they're not looked after by their own men, and we took this to heart. Now, upon this backlash, I'm going to get into whether it was right, whether black women have a right to feel like that or not. I believe that they do have a right to feel like that, and I'm going to get into why that is the case. Black women took to black internet to scald black men. Now, what happened? Black men, now upon this, other side to the case, I'm going to stand right in the middle, because at the end of the day, innocent until proven guilty. We're going to see how that goes. But black men are taking this time to be like, oh, you see, we told you, you guys went over us. And I just want to get straight to the point. There is this toxic culture that we have on the internet of a black man v black woman situation going on. And we are the only race on the internet to do this. I will never, and you know this, you do not scroll on the internet and find white women and white men having a full-on war. So I first want to say, can we stop this? Can we literally stop this? I'm going to tell you where it comes from so we understand that, okay, we can have some grace and extend grace for our race. But now that you've seen this video, I ask you, and anybody who will, be mindful and understand where this is coming from, and to stop it, and make a conscious effort to stop it. Today, I want to talk about a big topic that's called othering. Watch this. Othering is a phenomenon in which some individuals or groups are defined and labeled as not fitting in within the norms of a social group. It is an effect that influences how the people perceive and treat those who are viewed as being part of the in-group versus those who are seen as being part of the out-group. So that's the major part. Everyone can have a difference. People can have differences. But then it leaks into how people are treated, right? So when we look at the fact of othering, right, what's othering? Othering is the fact that, and this is why those conservatives try to manipulate black people as though we're overly sensitive. There are so many things that we have become accustomed to, that have become normal in day-to-day life, that we don't understand had a major effect on us. We talk about the black Barbie dolls. We talk about the fact that we are only now introducing, the black Barbie dolls. But everything Barbie was white at the time. And now we have a problem when we want to make the Little Mermaid black. Well, you have to understand, this is why all those people who are, they're so, I guess, I want to say uneducated, but they don't have depth of thinking. I also want to talk about white bandages. So let's look at something as simple as when bandages. We know that it was created to match the skin color of white people. Now, let's understand that we've not just only arrived. We've been here. They've known we've been here. They know they have a society that have black people within the society. So when you see people make a new episode about Little Mermaid with a black starring a black woman, we're trying to defeat othering. We're not being petty. We are understanding the damage and the cause of othering on the mind. When we see, like I said, the bandages. Now, let's go to my next big point. Shampoos. Everything, for as long as we've known, has always been the norm is white, and then the other is black. So when we look at shampoos, when you think of how much money shampoo companies make, for as long as we'll live, there will always be a shampoo company going. If you think of how long black people have been in the West, by now, they should have invested all of those billions, if they weren't othering us, into figuring out how do we create a product, because we understand that the black community suffer with breakage easily. Their hair suffers with breakage easily. They could have invested billions of dollars, billions of pounds, if they cared about this, to say, okay, how can we salvage their hair? I can guarantee you by now we would have come up with a concoction that retains oils. A shampoo that will retain your oils. You know us. I know. I'm a braided brother. I know what the lingo is. A shampoo you just do once a week, and it retains the oils. A conditioner you do once a week, and it retains the oils. But we are still, up until now, waiting for the next big thing on IG, or someone says, I've come up with the next concoction. Someone who's doing a promo like, I've cracked the code. I'll tell you why. I refuse to believe we were just given a cursed hair. I refuse to believe. When God created us, He created us with a cursed hair. In my last episode, you'll see me, I got into about hair and about all those type of things. And I'm very much on point here again and repeating it, because when we talk about that, we talk about the fact that, okay, why haven't we helped that process be pushed, or rather push society into that process? Oh, well, because black women are focused on not being othered, because their identity was othered in the first place. You want me to prove it to you? I'll prove it to you. Another headline on Shade Bro that came up in my news feed today. I want to put on the screen. On a mission for you. Yeah. You don't understand, yeah. On a mission for you. You know, yeah, I can't be stopped. You know, I can't be. So, at first, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. At first, yes, we all thought about it. Made us jerk a little bit. Is that, I think someone even commented, is that sanitary? And then instantly, I'm so happy someone was awake, and I'm going to read one of the comments. At least it's a family. The ones we wear, we don't even know its origin. And I recently seen a video of an Asian lady who said, look, I'm at the hair manufacturing place, and she was showing people I'm cutting the hair straight from an Asian, straight. Showing how real it is. And we show off when the hair wiggles, when it's not stiff or when it's not. This is why I don't listen to people who are conservatives and the naysayers say people need to get over it. We have not taken the time to invest why a whole entire race for generations have been glued, or rather we willfully turn a blind eye. If a black woman wants to be in her best form, she feels she needs to put together her best Caucasian inspired hair texture on her head. And of course these dreadlocks were washed in order for her to wear them. But one thing that I've been noticing, and I think you guys, I don't know if I have to put pictures up on the screen. I'm going to put one picture up on the screen. Maybe two. Maybe a third, just to convince you. I believe now we are finding, only now, it's coming into a trend of how we could wear dreadlocks. Excuse me, sacred locks. There we are, othering again. The fact that we even call them dread. Dread is an English word that means fear. They named them dreadlocks. Locks. When I think about it, I'm just trying to think, other than believing black people were just cursed with this negative hair, and we will forever be in the plight of trying to see how can we run from our texture as best as possible, while white women are in their own texture, in their own identity. I couldn't help but think about sacred locks, forgive me, and how they are probably the most easiest to keep. And for the excuse that, they become too heavy, well, you can get smaller locks that are less heavy. There are ways around it if you find a good lock technician. And what I'm trying to say is why locks have become a negative thing that a lot of us, majority of our women and men should, let's say women, because women like long hair, that's fine, should be attached to, let's say, the locks, sacred locks. But because the sacred locks were othered, I want to tell you the power of othering. Because locks were othering. You don't want to be that, as they call it, the babe in the office with the locks. You don't want to other. You don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. Okay, you've come to terms with the fact that you're darker skinned. You've come to terms with the fact that your features are bigger. You've come to terms with the fact that you got Nigerian features or Congolese features. But now to add something on top of that, which technically is your identity, is something you don't think it's worth it. So we spend thousands and billions as a community coming out of our own texture. And I know I have to debunk the excuse that, we only use it because, it's easier, it's this, it's that. Guys, if that hair was othering, the effort it goes through to get wigs. If, let's say, the wig's texture was othered, and then the locks was normal, I can bet you still wouldn't go. And this is not trends, my people. It's rooted in colonialism. It's rooted in the damage colonialism had when it othered a people, when it stigmatized the people. We've only as a people just come out of the skin bleaching. We've only as a people just come out of the skin bleaching. Don't act brand new. Oh no, I love my dark skin now. We only just the people just came out. Some people back in Congo are still very deep in it. But as Europeans, we've only just said, you know what? Death isn't necessary for light skin. Again, this is not me insulting us. This is saying this is the severity of the damage a colonial mind can do to a people. So we have the shampoos, the othered, everything else there. Even how they place us in the shop. Main things, other shampoos. Main things, options and options for white people. Little tiny section on the side there for black people. I'm not sure how it is in America. I'm speaking for Ireland. I'm speaking for UK. Right? Even when you think of something as simple as a boss. Your boss. And that's why I remember seeing a commercial on TV, YouTube, that showed a black woman as a boss. Because when you think of a boss, your mind automatically thinks of a white person. You know, this othering thing was so intentionally done because when it came to a place that they were going to give black people their freedom, it wasn't by choice. It wasn't as a parade. Fine, you've resisted well enough. I guess because it's costing us so much to keep you locked down. And not to mention, a few of our people are starting to feel some shame or some guilt. When a house divided against itself cannot stand, eventually they had to lessen or lighten the load. But it's not because they wanted to. And then you have the case of, fine, where someone's despising you. Then we have the Windrush generation. We have the civil rights movement. And we have segregation. And I have my thing here when it comes to segregation. Why? You know, people often fight the case of, reverse race. Oh, well, look, Okay, let me cut to the point. I believe that the reason segregation hurt so much for the Negro, yes, I'm going to put on the top, because he was always given the crumbs of society. So the best of the best were given to white people, and then the crumbs of any institution, the crumbs of any service was then given to black people because they couldn't serve everybody at the same time. But my point is this. Other than that fact, I believe segregation hurt the Negro so much because it was an everyday reminder that he was othered. I always repeat that my mom was only 16 years old, and recently I had her described to me, and I just love getting that information. And she goes, yeah, I remember when I was younger. Mom was 16 in Zimbabwe, and we'd have to go to, my mom would get paid on some days, whenever she get paid, and she'd take us all down to the village. And we'd all go down to to get a meal together that day. And I remember we knew as a family, like there were certain routes that we weren't allowed to walk because we were segregated. We just knew. Like that really, I really love to hear these stories. When I was 16, anybody who knows me, I'll put up on the screen, I was doing really well. I was in the band. I was having the height of my life at that time. I was successful. I was performing a lot. I had a viral video. I was with Robert Williams. I had done loads of great things on television and everything. So 16 years old is such a memorable time for me. It's when I really knew music was going to be something that I was going to do for the rest of my life. So my mom tells me when she was 16, that was the moment she was finally allowed to sit with white girls in class. She was finally allowed to walk in to a store where a white person was. So the year before, 15, or even 2 weeks before, she was not allowed. And that always touches me. It always inspires me. It always thinks, because 16 is an age you can remember. It's not like a baby or she was an adult. She obviously was able to have a clear recollection of what that did to her mind. And when I think about segregation, my only thing that I think is that it made the black person feel like a severe other. It othered him. And already just coming out of a more severe either slavery or a more severe segregation, apartheid, then our community was already struggling for self-worth. We were already struggling for self-worth. So I believe why we fought against segregation, of course, we understood that we were always getting the short end of the stick. But why I'm saying this is not because I'm a racist. I'm saying this because in life, yes, it's normal. If someone doesn't want to be around you, why would you fight to be around them? So I almost don't want to look at my forefathers in a way where they worship white people so much that they said, you ever know when you're a kid and you said, that kid doesn't want to play with me. And I remember the teacher in the schoolyard would be like, well, if he doesn't want to play with you or she doesn't have to play with you. So I'm trying to protect my people here with the idea that we cried against segregation because they don't want to play with me. They don't want to be around us. But of course, they were realizing that we will get the short end of the stick. We couldn't vote for a president. We couldn't, do you understand what I'm saying? So why was it important? Then also on top of that, we were already struggling with low racial self-esteem because we were made feel like animals. And then we talk about the black people, African people who moved to Ireland. Why it was so important for us to integrate. And integration is fine, but assimilation is not. Why it was so important to assimilate. It was that feeling of othering. And I want to go into a story that really is going to help you. It's one of my favorite stories. I had a friend, it was a white friend. This story is not really about racism, although it was a racist moment, because this guy was, when I look back on my life, I look back and I ask myself, I wonder why I wasted my time. I'm ashamed that I actually befriended so many people who clearly had a lower perspective on black people, who clearly didn't respect black people. And I think a lot of time growing up in Ireland, we mistake people being able to be civil and get on with you with an actual friendship that holds respect and reverence in it, where someone is actually afraid, because there's a good fear, to, play with you. So anyway, it was one of those ridiculous white friendships that I don't even know. It says a lot about me for holding it than it does about that guy. And even his parent. I think it's important for me to tell two of the stories, actually. I'll tell his first and I'll tell the parent. So basically, we're walking one day, and I remember a black girl was walking past us. And I think anybody in Ireland knows, like... So anyway, I'm walking past this. Me and him are walking past. I think we're walking to school. And I think the girl looked at me, or I could have looked at her. It was not even a big deal. It was just like you look at the people who were walking past you. It was not even a big deal. And as we passed her, he looks at me and goes, "Do you like her?" Now, anybody who's Irish has to know, it's a real like, and he looked at me like, let me label the emotions. There was a disgust. There was a confusion. Sorry, let me rephrase it. Sorry. He said, "Do you think she's nice?" It was, in your language, in your species, othering. Is this what you do on Pluto, on Mars? Is this like a, is that what you, is this, I don't understand how you're, and you know what, that's what That's what was happening in that moment. And I so quickly, no. And I remember saying, do you think she's nice? Again, I'm trying to relate myself to him. No. He goes, no? Like, why would you bother asking me? Like, that's not of my, it was like a no, like, what a dumb question. It wasn't like a, no, I don't think, like, no, like, I'm asking you because you're black and she's black. You guys are the others. And I was like, I said, no. And he goes, no. And I said, well, I don't think she's nice. Remember, I'm in your team. Forget my life, forget my people, forget my thing, forget my beauty, I fully accept that your way is the way. Christ, your truth, the life. Worship, you're it. You guys are it. Your beauty, your hair, your this, your skin, your body types, your everything. You're not arguing with me. That's where I failed. And I want to tell you a story from his father. His father used to be a football coach. And I was signing for his team because I remember we had a good match. I played on at break time, and he saw me playing well. And he was like, wow, yeah, you're really good, man. You need to come to my team. I just play football quite well. I can say it now that I don't play anymore. You're quite good, man. You need to come to my team. And I remember he was enthusiastic to get me there. And I was wondering how quick it would happen. And he goes, yeah, now I'll get my dad. So he gets his dad. So he tells his dad. And his dad then, I played training. I think I trained with him a few times. And then eventually he's like, yeah, this kid is a real deal. Like, let's get him. And I remember then, I think it was one night after training, he couldn't wait. He said, no, I need to sign you. I remember he was excited. No, I need to sign you. I need to get you before the season starts. I think I need to get you. So he shows up to my door that evening. Actually, no. It was because I remember there was a deadline he had to reach. So I wasn't with him. He showed up a different day. He shows up, I'm upstairs. And I love this moment so much. Because as an African kid, you grow up, because again, this is why I talk about media and imagery and how they defamed us. You're depicted as these African poor. So I was already embarrassed about a white man coming to my door and meeting my parents. I was ashamed of my African parents' accent. I was ashamed of everything I knew what was depicted of Africans. And I remember then, I'm at the stairs, I'm upstairs because he came quite late, like bedtime, I think, past 8. And at that time I was, and I only get told about the story the next day. I heard about a bit of it. He comes in, how are you? Goes in the sitting room with my parents and sits with both of them. I didn't really hear much. And I come out the next day, I think I was told, or I think I heard some of it. So the story was, he starts talking to my parents like he was talking to animals. Hello, Harrison is a good football player. And my parents told me the next day, it wasn't someone who was trying to get the English language across. It was somebody who had a warped perception of black people. It was a completely insulting encounter. It wouldn't be someone how you spoke to a British or a Spanish person who couldn't speak English. There was so much caveman mannerisms, as if I'm trying to get a message through to a cave person here. And it was just disrespect. And my dad actually cut him off halfway because he was so annoyed. And he said, by the way, my wife is way more educated than you. Because my mom's an accountant, a finance. So I don't know why you're talking to us. Eventually my dad got the courage to say, not the courage, but just got annoyed enough to say, I don't know why you're talking to us like that. Like, my wife is way more qualified, he said, than you. And, my dad has always had a lip, so it was a nice move. And said that to him. And, of course, when I heard that, I was like, oh, no, why did he do that? And this is why I said black parents are important. You grow up, and these are the moments I remember being a kid, because I was really trying to fit in, and your African parents teach you, then you remember, oh, yeah, this is what my parents were when I was embarrassed about them putting their foot down. I learned that as a black person, this is what you have to do on your name, or, you know, to put respect on your name. And so this is where we get about othering. And black people have faced these things, like the definition said. It is an effect that influences how people perceive and treat those who are viewed as being part. So when they have ads, you know, when they're trying to mask the neocolonialism, and they constantly put commercials for charity, or when they, in my last episode I just did about blackface, and when they destroyed the imagery, when they were loading the fact that they had to now share a society with black people, so they were expressing their hatred in other ways. This created an othering. We are othered all the time. Now let me tie this in. Because we've been othered so long, we now other ourselves. We now other ourselves. And I'm going to put one last headline up here. And it is, another shade borough, Twitter reacts to UK beast term gone too far. Remember what I talked about? That guy, how he spoke to my parents? White men now use UK beast as another racial slur. I'm going to play the tape.
Is everybody in this house like, I'm fed up of the immature, the banging and
It's just.
It's not just, can you, like, fam, like.
Okay, I'm gonna go outside for a minute.
Like, am I doing the most or what? Like.
Okay.
Am I doing the most?
Yeah. It's just a game, bruv.
I need to breathe.
Go upstairs.
I need to breathe. I'm gonna bug out. I'm going to bug out.
Madam Joyce,
I'm going
to
to
the
bug.
storeroom.
I'm going to bug
Don't.
out.
You're fine, you're fine, you're fine.
I've been quiet all day, and this boy has pulled my wig from my bag to put it in his head. Nah, get me the home. Get me the
Failing to understand how UK beast has been turned into a new racist term leveled at black women is one thing, but having been corrected about the context of the post and refusing to take it down despite the post obviously enabling racism in the comments is sick. This guy is a PE teacher but calling a black woman beast. How is she a UK beast? You lot need to stop touching people's things. All props to black men for referring black women as UK beasts. Now white men are comfortable using it as a derogatory term for use. I won't read everything in there, but I'll just say, this was the damage of othering. We now other ourselves. We now other ourselves. And apparently black men started this. So, hear me guys. I understand that we have this war amongst ourselves. But why isn't it that we don't just say women? Why isn't it that on Twitter we're saying black women? Why is it that we don't associate women? When women are online fighting the feminist movement, they say men. When white men are complaining about the new feminist movement, they don't say white women feminist movement, they say women. We have internalized our oppression and we have othered ourselves. We've created terms like UK beast. We've created terms like we've made our beauty standards ugly, and we need to consciously as a community think and be conscious and be intentional to undo step by step. So when you see us pushing for a black mermaid, when you see us pushing for a black Barbie doll, when you see us pushing for this show, when you see us pushing for positions with affirmative action, don't be ignorant to the history of things. There's a history of a reinforced othering of a human species, and we've been here long enough. That it's time for us, let them make you feel uncomfortable. Don't let them make you feel about knowing that it is time to rectify things of history. Things that have destroyed people for real. Destroyed people's self-esteem for real. Please, 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 please. Please, 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 please. And then Shayborough then posts something that was quite fishy, and I'll end off on here, of another black woman, and I'll just leave her picture on the screen. And you can go and watch the video yourself. But anybody who was black, you will understand the undertone of that. And we have to think to ourselves, let's not get desensitized. Oh yeah, this is what they do. How can we as a community undo the defamation of our beauty? Undo the fact that defame that someone who looks like this, they will liken it to the most derogatory and negative things. You cannot live life thinking that that's just the way life is. As a community, it's our job in this generation, and we will be discredited to all of the black generation if we do not. In this time where there's freedom of speech, where there's liberal movements happening, we have to take this time. Not to say, okay, it's gone, move out of the way. No, 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 no. We have to be intentional and put things right. Start by saying, I'm not going to take to the internet and fight black women. She's a woman who probably, if it turns out she's lying, she's suffering from mental health. If she's not lying, well, why didn't we believe her? But at the end of the day, she's a woman. If you have a comment to make about women, make a comment about women. Stop this, even men. If you have a comment to make about men, just for the sake of the fact that people are watching us, we are perpetuating the othering. We are perpetuating the othering. Let's put it to rest, guys. Let's stop it. Othering, othering, othering. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed that episode.
And I'm on a mission for you.